The story starts with our female lead named Saryang at the police station. The police officer was saying, "Miss Saryang, you mentioned that your husband was acting strangely last night. Can you explain what that was?" Saryang says, "On top of the bed." The police officer says, "What did you say?" Saryang says, "I said on top of the bed. He never did this in the 2 years of our marriage. My husband Kim Hyun was always polite to me and concentrated on me because I couldn't see. But that night he became very harsh with me and told me not to do this with anyone. But I did not understand what he was saying at all." Then let's look at it a little earlier. Hyun was leaving for work and Saryang said, "It seems someone has moved into our neighborhood." Kim Hyun asks, "Isn't there is so much noise?" Saryang says, "I was curious. Who has come after all?" Hyun says, "Are you okay with that last night?" Just Saryang says, "You surprised me because you don't do this normally. I had no idea it was so painful. Hey, you go now and come back from work. We will talk again." Saryang thinks, but there was a strange peace at that time. It seemed as if our eyes met at that moment. Although I couldn't see it, I could sense it. My husband, who always smiled, was not smiling at that time. I wanted to ask him why, but could not ask. The doctor told me it was bad. Questioning everything. Then let's watch the next scene. It was 3:47 in the night. Saryang thinks he comes back from work by 7 o'clock. He was always close to me because I couldn't see. So he won't leave me alone for long. She calls him, but his number is showing unavailable. Suddenly this thought came to her mind that something has happened, and she was thinking and cut her hand while cutting vegetables. She was going to call him and say, "Oh no, what happened?" Then we look at the present. The police officer says, "It has been only 1 day for you. We will have to wait a little. We cannot take immediate action unless it is related to a criminal case." Saryang says, "What?" The criminal case officer says, "Yes, like a kind of assault case, so it would be better, Miss Saryang, that you tell me honestly." He was saying this because at that time Saryang had a knife in her hand and it was covered in blood. The officer says, "Tell me, whose blood is this?" Saryang says, "This blood is my husband's. Please find him quickly." Then Saryang thinks, "I met my husband for the first time when I was 24 years old. Hyun tells her I am not the CEO here. I am just an employee here." She thinks, "This is when I realized that something is happening with my health." Kim Hyun gives her the stick and says, "I think this will be enough. Should I stay here until it rains or should I leave?" Saryang says, "It seems my hands liked it," and she thinks, "This was our first strange meeting, but why do I have to depend on this blind stick? I was told there is no problem in it, so I started living like this. Then I worked very hard and got a job as a caregiver, knowing that all this has no meaning for me. I was thinking, why is this happening to me? I was feeling very ashamed. I had become completely hopeless." Then Hyun came to her and said, "Do you want to take this? You must be feeling cold." Saryang thinks, "In the world where I felt it was dark, light came from somewhere." In the next scene, Saryang says, "What do you mean?" The police officer says that no one lives in this house. All the houses in this building are vacant. Didn't you know about this? Saryang says, "But I am sure I have talked to these neighbors. Something is wrong here. Please find out." The officer says that no one lives here, so what do you mean? You have talked to him. Then an officer says, "Sir, I have received a call from the police station and they have told me that Kim Hyun has no registration." And hearing this, Saryang becomes very surprised. She thinks, it has been a month since my husband disappeared. Then she remembers again when she went to the police station. The officer said that if you come again, I will file charges against you. Saryang says, "Officer, something is wrong. Please find out." The officer says that we have not found anything, so what should we investigate? Saryang says, "What if a criminal did this? Who knows, my husband has been made to disappear. That too without any proof." The officer says that according to the report, you said that it was your husband's blood. So, do you want us to investigate this again? Excuse me, miss, but I think you have been scammed. Saryang says, "But I have not been financially scammed." And what did they get by scamming me? The officer says that no matter what their intentions are, only the man who has run away will know the whole story. What do you think? At this time, Saryang was in the church and says, "Has he run away?" Just then the father comes there and says, "Sister, you don't look well. Please sit down for a while." Saryang says, "I am absolutely fine." She starts leaving from there. But then she stops and says to father, "Father, do you really believe in things that you cannot see?" "Pardon me. But I think you're fooling yourself." So, I open my eyes. Don't let yourself be fooled like I have been. Father says, "Sister, you don't need to see someone to trust them." But do we really need any reason to trust? Saryang says, "If you talk about me, I don't know anything." So that's how I ended up. I don't know what his face looks like. But still I love him very much. The hands I held were very warm. I had never met a person like him in my life before. If I may say so, it was like a miracle for me. But suddenly that person also disappeared as if he never existed. Now I understand that it was too easy for me. Father says, "Sister, who knows, today's coincidence might be God's will. Ask him and keep searching for him. You will find him soon, so keep knocking on that door will open someday." Then suddenly her eyes fall on the article in her hand in which it was written, "Korea's top services, which help in finding love, memories and people." Saryang says, "Why do I have this?" Then let's watch the next scene. She had come to the doctor to get her eyes checked. The doctor says, "There is no science in this. Your vision is coming back. It seems that this report will have to be given to the academic community first." Saryang thinks my husband has disappeared. And the fog that used to live in my eyes also disappeared with it. The doctor says, "Being an eye doctor, this has also happened to me for the first time. You were diagnosed at least 2.5 years ago. The retinal detachment seems to be temporary. It seems like someone was deliberately manipulating your eyes, due to which it became temporarily paralyzed." Then Saryang remembers that Hyun used to put drops in her eyes. Saryang says, "I will do it myself." Kim Hyun says, "I want to do it for you because I want to do everything for you." Saryang says, "But why did my assigned doctor change?" The doctor says, "Sorry for being late, I have been assigned to Dr. Park's position because he got a good opportunity and went abroad." Saryang thinks this means my husband has not disappeared alone. Then she remembers when they were taking photos and she says, "I am getting very curious. Who is the person with me in the photo? What kind of expression is he making right now that I wish I could see?" Hyun makes her smile and says, "I am laughing like this. Actually, both of us are laughing like this." Flashback ends. Then she was talking to someone on the phone. The other person was saying that the name you mentioned, the company you mentioned, the license plate you mentioned, everything is fake. She says there is no CCTV footage either. I think all the names that were there are missing. So tell me, can you find my husband? That person says that it seems that those people were doing this work on someone's orders. You can tell us about your neighbors in more detail. She says yes, there was a man who had a dog. And she thinks now she must know the truth. I will bring back to myself what is mine. It doesn't make sense for me to give up so easily. Then a few days later we see a detective agency with whom Saryang was talking. Saryang asks them, "So you found out something about my husband?" Then a girl named Hannah shouted and said, "Then what kind of cheater were you living with? That man should be hung by his tongue." The man, whose name was Piljiu, says, "Calm down, Hannah." Hannah says, "Brother-in-law, are you not angry?" Pilgai says, "My name is Pilgai. I am the team leader of Blast Corporation and from the information analysis team. Our company Blast is a private military contractor company. We are in the government military services that fight in the outside zones. This is a small business run by our team. Miss Saryang, we are sorry but we cannot take your case." Saryang says, "But why can't you take it?" Hannah says, "Hey friend, all the names and neighbors you have mentioned are fake, nothing is real." "Yes, but that fraudster ignored one thing. Remember the boy you told me about who had a dog? All the other things were fake, but the name of the dog was absolutely real. We came to know that the name of that dog is registered in an animal hospital. But according to the medical records, the name of the owner is different. A 67-year-old woman named Kim Yeonmi." Saryang says, "But he was a man. Maybe it's a different dog." Hannah says, "Look, we found Yeonmi's credit card receipt. That too, 5 years old, and look what we got from there." Taeyang says, "Sorry but my vision hasn't recovered yet." Anna says it's actually a receipt from the bookstore. National Intelligence Service 9th grade questions. Hannah says the Kim Yeonmi has a son. If you look at it, he is a publisher employee. But it is common for them to disguise themselves in this field. if Kim Yeonmi's son has passed his NIS exam. Therefore, being a low-level agent, he got a small position, i.e. that of a neighbor. Sariang says, wait, I am not able to understand anything. He says, Miss Sariang, tell me, what has he done? He did this to a woman and then disappeared. He bought an entire villa so that he could control everything within a 200-meter radius. This means that it cannot be done by any normal agent or simple operation. This means it includes NIS black cop agents. No one knows the identity of those black cops agents except NIS officials. He is very adept at hiding his face and his name. He disguises himself in such a way that no one gets to know about it. Miss, if that's the case, you'll never be able to find him. And let's look at the one who changed the face of Sariang's husband. In the next scene, seeing Hyun changing his face, a boy was saying that he changes his face in the same way as a snake sheds its skin. I still can't believe it even though I've seen it so many times, and we find out that boy is called Won Changana. NIS has a hacker on one of the teams. He says, team leader, so you were successful in escaping. He says, yes, I ran away without looking back, but I was scared that I might get caught. And we find out that his name is Lee Wushin, an NIS agent, and his code name is Maka. Changana says, silicone mask and a full-fledged voice changer. Ever since I have been working here, I cannot trust anyone. But you are so amazing. I felt that the team leaders had really fallen in love. Wushin says, Changana, you have started talking too much. Changana nervously says, well, team leader, I think our target was Owl. It seems she really fell in love with you. Some time ago, Owl reached the police station drenched in blood. She was saying that this blood belonged to her husband. Later it was revealed that it was her own blood which he had spilled after cutting his hand while cooking. Well, the face you changed was investigated a lot. It has been revealed that you were fake. Owl is smarter than you think. I have also taken out the footage from the police station. Would you like to see? Wushin says, Changana, just give me one reason. Why look at that footage at the end? What do you think? Was what I did a real marriage? Owl was just a target and husband was the role I played. That pointless mission is over, so why would I experience it again? So there is no need to look back and think about it. Changana says, sorry. Actually, I was seeing her for 2 years. Wushin says, now don't say that you are adamant on the fact that I had an intimate relationship with a civilian and tell me which agent is trained without this education. Looks like your brother will have to send you to school because Changana is not grown up yet. Shin says, if you understand, then don't talk about Owl in front of me again. Changana says, by the way, team leader, that was your resignation letter, and then he disconnects the phone. Changana thinks it seems the team leader is quite upset. Goodbye, Miss Owl, I hope you soon forget our heartless team leader. Then in the next scene, looking at Sariang and Hannah, Hannah was secretly saying, did you really say that you want to defect to North Korea? Sariang says, no, I said I want to go to North Korea. I need to take my game to the crime level to get wrapped up with the black NIS agent. I've already figured out the bridge. I called you because I wanted your advice since you're from North Korea. Isn't it? Hannah says, are you seriously trying to mess with NIS? Sariang says, you said he can't be traced. I am trying to take a somewhat opposite approach. If I commit a lot of crimes, NIS will catch me. Then I will be able to meet the active agent. Why? I am right, aren't I? She thinks that we will definitely meet again. It will be him who will have to come to catch me. We see a few days later that Sariang had come to the same North Bridge with her car. Then we show the conversation between Hannah and Sariang some time ago. Hannah says, what if you both meet again after you get caught? Sariang says, I should kill him, or more like. Every time I see him, I feel like killing him. Well, every day is full of sadness for me. Then Sariang starts driving the car fast towards that bridge. The soldiers start shouting and say, let's go quickly and catch her. Sariang thinks, yes, come grab me and take me to my husband. Then she looks back and thinks maybe this will be enough. A soldier says, I am not able to breathe at all. The second soldier says, what happened to you? Breathe quickly. Do you need to go to the doctor? Sariang thinks, why are these people not catching me? If this continues, I will reach the north. She panics and turns the car and it crashes on the side. Soldier shouts and says, hey, stop right there. For now you are being arrested on emergency basis. Sariang mumbles, why did you guys take so long? I really thought I would cross the bridge. Then in the next scene we see her in the investigation room. Two officers come there. An officer says that I have come from the National Intelligence Service. As you might have already found out, Miss Sariang, you have violated the law and also damaged military facilities. You also know that the facilities have been closed until the investigation is completed. It was a very famous tourist spot. But because of you, we will now have to stop tourists from coming there. She says, well, this is quite good. There was a soldier there who was about to faint due to shortness of breath. So wouldn't that be better? First he should be hospitalized. The officer says you will have to pay a fine for breaking the national security law. But first we need to know your intention. Why did you want to go to North? If you don't answer, I'll change my question. Tell me, who is this Kim Hyun? Even during the police investigation, you were only responding to Kim Hyun. Sariang says he is my husband. The officer says, but according to your records you are unmarried. As you mentioned, you were married for 2 years. And the man you talked about has disappeared. Isn't it? Sariang says yes. The officer says, so was this your intention? Defecting to North because of that guy? Sariang starts saying, Chairman of the National Defense Commission, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, these are all the things that my husband used to say often. To be honest, I wanted to report a spy. But I don't know what is the real face and real name of my husband. So after all, I was living with a spy till now. Will you personally help me find him? That defector is Hyun who has disappeared. If you divert your attention from that, it will become a big problem. Who knows what kind of damage he will cause to the country. Therefore the government should catch them as soon as possible. Why? Don't you agree with me? Then suddenly the other officer's phone starts ringing. He picks up the phone and says, okay, I understand. The first officer says, I think I'll have to end the investigation now. Given your mental condition, let's close it here. But you'll have to pay 10 million won to pay for the damages. Sariang says, I'm saying my husband might be a spy. You won't try to find out more. The officer says, thank you for your help with the investigation. Sariang asks, what are you saying? Then she calms down and asks, do any of you know Kim Hyun? The first officer says, excuse me, what are you trying to say? Sariang says, don't you think you're trying too hard to hide something? You guys should be more focused on catching a spy. Seeing someone, she says, come out before I break the glass, and she thinks someone is watching Sariang behind the glass. Sariang says, if you want to play high, why don't we play together? The first officer says, Sariang, let's end this joke. Let's stop. Sariang says, what a joke. The one joking here is you guys. What's so special about Kim Hyun that you can't even investigate? Tell me, what are you guys hiding? The first officer asks, did you get proper treatment? Sariang asks, what do you mean? The first officer says, I heard you stopped taking your medicine a while ago, so maybe you're imagining your husband's gone. Sariang says, what kind of medicine is that? I'm not sick, so why would I take medicine? The first officer says, we talked to your doctor. Sariang doesn't understand. Then her eyes fall on a piece of paper lying in front of her. She pulls it closer to read it. It says a psychiatric hospital. The first officer says, this is the same hospital you used to go to when you were a child. Isn't it? Then the next scene cuts to the same hospital. Someone was watching the news, which was about a woman crossing a bridge in the north. She was supposed to be doing it. According to the police, she's in her 20s and is being called Miss Han. Then the doctor gets a shock when Sariang appears before him. She starts brewing tea, and the doctor asks her, child, what happened to your eyes? Sariang says, they've gotten a lot better. But doctor, this is quite strange, isn't it? The doctor says, well, it's good to hear you're doing better now. By the way, everything is fine with your husband. Sariang says, my husband ran away. I did exactly as you told me. I was kind and gentle. Just like a puppy, soft and sweet. You know, I tried so hard to live a good and honest life. I quit gymnastics and was expelled from high school. Still, I tried to live a decent life by working as a caregiver. And look what I ended up with. What wrong did I do? Why do people bring them into their world? When they have to leave those children, they promise love and then run away. Doctor, tell me, why did you do this to me? The doctor panics and says, what are you talking about? I don't understand you at all. She says, you know, doctor, in the past, when the mafia wanted to get rid of their enemies, I heard they would poison their black tea. Hearing this, the doctor becomes distraught. The tea cup breaks and he starts coughing violently. Sariang says, Doctor, you diagnosed me with a schizophrenic, right? So tell me, who told you to do this? I'm not sure, but I have a feeling this is related to my husband. I need all the answers right now. Please forgive me. I can't think straight when it comes to my husband. The doctor panics and says, I did exactly what I was told to do. And he said he promised he would never hurt you. They won't hurt me. Sariang pulls her leg away and says, okay, I understand. She goes and drinks the same tea she gave the doctor, and the doctor realizes he's been fooled. Sariang asks, so who are those people? The doctor says, they told me they were from a government organization. Then they gave me a business card from a publishing company. They said they were employees of a publishing company. She thinks, maybe it's easier for them to hire people. The more I search about Hyun, the more the truth is being revealed. I didn't even realize I was trapped in the trap he wove for me. I was so naive. As she leaves, she says, Doctor, you're the one who taught me how to wear the mask of goodness. So today's session will be our last. The doctor asks, Sariang, what are you talking about? Sariang says, I've decided to break that mask forever. She thinks, I'm a kind person. Lovely wanted to live a life, but nothing was real. The happy, married life I believed in was also a trap someone had created. This means this whole world is full of lies. Now I will remove that mask and live my true self. In the next scene, she was at her home, surrounded by Wushin's clothes. Held them and kept calling out Hyun's name. Then she heard Hyun's voice, who said, I've been watching you from here. Then, in the next scene, she was with Hannah. Hannah was telling her, you weren't riddled with bullets. You were supposed to go to the north. Sariang said, no, not my body, but my bank account. I had to pay 10 million won as compensation. Hearing this, Hannah hit her head and said, damn you, did you really call me here today for this madness? Sariang said, I don't know anyone could be involved in this kind of thing, but I'm thinking of kidnapping someone to kill them. I can make him a hostage, someone with a high social status. That way, maybe the government will pay more attention to me, like the deputy director of the National Intelligence Service. Then, Wushin receives a call from the same deputy director. He answers the phone and says, maybe I should get rid of this phone first. He looks up and sees that he's getting a tattoo on his stomach. He picks up the phone. The director says, Shin, come back as soon as possible. I need to talk to you about your resignation letter. It's very rare to find someone with 10 years of experience. And 2 intelligence agents have already died. What do you think? I'll accept a resignation letter that says you're quitting due to personal reasons. Wushin says, I've already explained why. The director asks, is this an explanation that you're quitting due to mental illness? Shin asks, do you think I was very understanding until now? The director says, after all, years. What's the problem? Why are you quitting after the mission is over? Shin says, I've already told you it's because of a mental illness. Even when I'm alone, I'm terrified of being exposed outside of my silicone mask. I thought it was just because of overwork. But the hospital said it's a compulsive disorder. So from now on, I'll just be with my real face. Every night, a faceless person stares at me in a cowardly manner, and I can no longer spy. I'm also getting a tattoo near my stomach, so after this, I won't be able to be intimate with any target. The director angrily says, Lee Wushin, you've really lost your mind. What are you doing to a body that belongs to this state? Have you gone mad? You're telling me you did this to a virgin, so you're rebelling now? Shin says, if you're not going to give me my face back, then stop right here. Really, I am. I'm so tired of wearing this mask. The director says, don't you need that document anymore? You're just throwing everything away. Are you giving up on everyone? Shin says, no, I haven't given up. It's just that. After 10 years, I'm the first one who's tired. Even after taking care of Owl, I've failed and achieved nothing. I'm very frustrated by this. So, I want to do something about it. The director says, I'm just one step away from becoming the head of the NIS. You know, once I get the title of NIS director, I can give you something, and I assure you, you'll be able to use your name and face. You're half Korean, right? I need a mask like this right now. So I'm asking you this one last time, Shin asks, can I do it without a mask, and just be whooshin'? The director says, yes, of course, Shin says, so, tell me what it is. The director says, you've heard Blast Corporation. Shin says, I've heard about it. The next scene. Sariang says, you're talking about the Blast Corporation. Hannah says, yes, whether it's the NIS deputy director or the crime chief. If you want to kidnap someone, you need to know the basics. You should learn the necessary skills. Most of the experts are from our company. Sariang says, do I really need to learn from this? Hannah says, and those big guys have so many bodyguards, so you need to have some skills to get rid of them. I'm telling you all this because you remind me of my little sister, whom I left behind in North Korea. Hannah thinks, there must be a lot of men in the Blast Corporation. So if you work with those male comrades, you'll forget that jerk and start living a free life. Why, isn't that a great idea? Sariang thinks, well, that's a good idea. If I want to take them hostage, I need physical strength. It might be necessary. But if things go well, I can use it to my advantage. Then she says, is that guy Pilgi that I met? He said he's the team leader of the Blast Corporation station, right? Hannah says, yes, my brother-in-law. But why are you asking? Sariang smiles and says, so you two are family. Hannah. In the next scene, she's with Piljiu. Piljiu asks, what did you want to say about Hannah? Sariang says, I heard you're Hannah's family. You're a brother-in-law, and she's your sister-in-law. So I contacted you because I knew you'd be in trouble. Then she plays a recording of Hannah's conversation. She tells Piljiu, I was caught going north, and yes, she was the one who told me about that bridge. Piljiu starts to panic. Sariang says, if I get caught, Hannah's name will also come up. Then Hannah says, I'm not going to tell you. The one who helped me will become a defector. Piljiu shouts, hey, Sariang, what are you saying? Sariang says, I learned from Hannah that her brother-in-law is a former National Intelligence Service officer. Piljiu asks, what's your plan? Sariang says, it seems Piljiu is quite sentimental. You left the National Intelligence Service so you could marry a defector and take care of him. So if Hannah's name comes out, your wife will also be caught. Piljiu says, exactly what do you want? Sariang says, I want a job at Blast Corporation. A third-ranking corporate group that operates in zones with dictators, drug nations, even human organizations, private militaries that are most widespread in Asia. In terms of direct activities, where military service is visible, and where the government is spending a lot of money. I heard that Blast Company is a private company that works with the country's VIPs. It handles the Blast Company, and the NIS also uses it when it needs operations. Piljiu asks, what are you trying to find in all this? Sariang says, as I said, I want a job. Piljiu says, Blast hires people with military experience. They hire people like special forces, agents, retired soldiers, and so on. Tell me, Sariang, is there something you're really good at? Sariang says, yes. Piljiu asks, are you thinking of killing? You've already gone too far by crossing the North Line. Sariang says, no, not murder, but housekeeping. Then, a few days later, someone says, Team Leader Piljiu has referred you. All you have to do is cook and dishwash. You can start working on Monday if you want. Finally, a young woman is joining our company. Women don't want to do this kind of job. The team will encounter some interesting things during training. Sariang says that military staff also live here, so there will be some dangerous things. That person asks, are you scared? There are plenty of big brothers here to protect you. So you don't have to worry. Sariang says, not like that, but it's best if you stay quiet. Everything here is like a weapon. So aren't you scared? Then, in the next scene, she's walking down the hallway when she bumps into someone. She calls Hannah and says, I just cleared the interview. Are you still at the company? Let's see. The person she bumped into was none other than Shin. He didn't recognize Saryang's voice because he was wearing AirPods. We see straight to 1 month later. Saryang had now started working in that agency. A coworker says to her, Saryang, let's go and eat. All but one table are gone. Saryang says I am removing the leftover food and then I will leave. Saryang was leaving when she heard someone's voice. A man says that the security team is about to open. Are you going to leave? The other man says no way, haven't you heard those rumors about the new team leader? People say that he is very ruthless. Let's see what will happen to his team members in the future. Saryang thinks what special security team? Then she remembers the past scene. Hannah hugged her and said, so you started working. So tell me, how are all the other colleagues? How did you like their faces? Hannah's plan. So this time it was to introduce Saryang to another boy. Then Saryang says, where are you working these days? It has become very difficult to meet you. Hannah says all I can tell you is that the new team leader is a huge headache, and currently, Saryang was wondering if Hannah is also in the special security team. It seems that gathering information about that team is very difficult. Then she looks into the room where two men were fighting. One man was saying to another, how dare you say this, say it again. It's strange that when Special Tire Force is mentioned, you pretend as if you didn't hear it. Are you trying to get into the special security team? What do you think? Doesn't anyone know about this? But he kept shouting at him like that. Saryang thinks, wow, seriously, these people are fighting like this here, and look, there another worker was going and both of them fall on her. That worker had a back injury. The other lady says, Miss Kim, are you okay? But the man does not pay any attention to the worker and he keeps hitting the other man. Seeing this, Saryang got very angry and told the lady to stay here. I will go and clean the floor. When that man's eyes fall on Saryang, he says, what are you doing here? Go away from here. Then Saryang throws the bucket of food which was in her hand, due to which when the food falls, it also hits that man. That man gets very angry and says, what have you done? Have you gone mad? And Saryang says in a very cold manner that the lunch break is over. Then in the next scene she was in the office and the leader was telling her that I had appointed you here to do cleaning. Not to do all this. I knew you were quite the trouble, but this time you went too far. This company revolves around field agents. We are just here to support them. Saryang says maybe we should show Miss Kim's back. The leader says no, you stay away from all this. One of the two men who were fighting was a very hot-tempered man. From now on, take care that you do not upset him at all. Watch the next scene. Saryang was leaving after taking a bath and was wondering when would I finally be able to kidnap the deputy director and find Kim Hyun. Should I think about another way? But I don't think there is any other way. The lift door she was standing outside opens and Wushin was there. Saryang starts leaving from there and thinks that it seems it is too full to enter now. Then Wushin's eyes fall on her and he says, why are you not coming inside? Saryang had a towel on her head so he could not recognize her. Saryang was not saying anything. She was standing right there. Shin says, if you are not going to come inside, then forget it. And then the elevator door closes. Then she hears two people talking. One person was telling another girl that this is the one who joined the team. I heard he was in Africa for quite a long time. People say that as soon as he turned 18, he joined the military and was also working with the special forces. The other one says, wait. He had said that he has so much experience at such a young age of 31. Then Saryang remembers what those two boys said and she thinks that this means he is the terrible team leader. In the next scene, she goes to meet the same man and he gives her his clothes and says, go and wash these. My clothes still smell of food. It's been a week and the smell still hasn't gone away. Saryang says, I have washed it 20 times this week. This is quite a strange thing. The man says, do you know my name? Saryang says, there is something written on your t-shirt, I can read it. The man says, wow, so normally you act like this. He makes a weird face and says, don't stare at me like that. Your eyes are very different. Saryang asks him straight up, do you want to sleep with me? The man says, what kind of person are you? You ask this question directly. Saryang asks him again, are you doing this because you want to sleep with me? The man says what will happen after that. If I say that I really want this. Saryang says sorry but I don't want to sleep with just anyone, and she starts making fun of him by comparing him with her husband. Due to which he becomes very embarrassed. He shouts and says that you should have just told me that you have a husband. Why are you looking at me like this? Go ahead, I dropped my ID tag in the shower. Go and bring him. Saryang says while leaving, okay, I will go and get it. The man says, wait, do you really have a husband? While going to Saryang, she thinks that everything here is really so rubbish. She goes and picks up the ID tag and starts to leave, thinking, maybe it would have been better if I had gone a little further north. Then she hears the sound of water and wonders if there is someone there and looks around. He was bathing there. Saryang passes by and starts leaving. Then he looks at her and says, do you want to take a bath with me? Saryang wonders, when did he come here? I didn't even know. He says that other people are also going to come here. So go away from here quickly. Then Saryang's eyes fall on her tattoo and she stops. He says, why are you staring at me like this? I know you are embarrassing me. But Saryang was watching and he says, if you have seen it then go away from here. Then his eyes fall on Saryang's eyes and he gets a little surprised. He quickly removes her mask and asks her, what are you doing here? Saryang says, sorry. I thought there was no one here. Now I am leaving. Then they started hearing voices that other people were also coming there to take bath. He says that man has messed with the housekeepers again. And then Saryang asks him, what are you doing? Get out of here. He says, wait, I am thinking about something and I asked you what are you doing here? Saryang says some idiot left his ID tag here so she came to get it. Shin says, no, I am asking exactly what are you doing in this company? Saryang says, I do the cooking and cleaning here. Sorry but I don't need to tell you about this and this situation is bothering me a lot, so please move away from here. Then he says, is it your habit to stare at someone like this? Saryang says, I told you to get away from me. She quickly turns on the shower and all the water starts falling on Wushin, and seeing this she quickly leaves from there. After she leaves, Wushin says, why were you looking at me with those eyes? In the next scene Wushin calls Changana and Changana says, team leader, why did you call me? Shin says, tell me, what is owl doing here? Changana says, who is the owl? Wushin says, are you stupid? I will have to explain it to you. Changana says, wait a minute, we are talking about that our owl. Our owl. Wushin angrily says, our owl, maybe you feel a sense of belonging towards animals because you yourself are an animal. I don't understand how such a stupid boy got the job. But after hearing his harsh words, Changana starts crying. And the next moment he says, yes, I found out. Han Saryang, 27, joined Blast Corporation last month. She does cooking and cleaning work in the kitchen and room. She didn't find out about you because you're not wearing a mask and you don't have that voice-changing chip in your throat anymore. But what about Owl? Her face is fine. Wushin says that it seems our Changana is becoming very curious. Changana says, actually I was not going to tell you because you yourself told me that I do not have to tell you anything about All now. Actually, some time ago All was caught because she was trying to cross into North Korea. She also alleged that the Union, that is, you, is a spy. She also asked to investigate about you. Well, in the end he was not given much punishment. Hearing this, Wushin gets surprised and thinks that lonely woman, that kind woman who lived her life peacefully without any complaints, she was more kind than others and always kept smiling. He tells Changana that Owl is not the kind of person who would do something like this. Changana says, I agree with this, but she is struggling a lot after her husband's disappearance. The good thing is that she did not recognize you at all. Well, Owl is not interested in anyone except Kim Hyun. Wushin says you should find out what she is thinking and what is her current situation and how can she find out about her husband. I want to know everything, and Wushin thinks that it should be done as soon as possible. I want her to go away from my sight soon. In the next scene, Saryang was cutting vegetables in the kitchen and remembers yesterday's scene and thinks that I had not even seen my husband properly, and the first thing I saw was this, and thinking this she was getting goosebumps. Then she remembers that Hyun's body was a little different. Kim Hyun had told her himself and she starts to blush thinking about it all. Then a lady comes there and says, can you deliver these boxes to the construction site? Actually, the whole staff is very busy today, and look at Saryang, who was thinking that now that I think about it, that boy is not like Kim Hyun at all. Then in the next scene she came out with the box and she was in a very bad mood because Shin was waiting for her outside, who told her that we should go there as soon as possible. Those people must be feeling very hungry. In the next scene, both of them were in the car and Saryang was thinking that his face looked very familiar at that time in the shower room. Now I understand that the rumors that were spread about him are absolutely true. Then he asks her, "Tell me, how is the work going? I heard that team leader Jang Piljiu recommended you. Do you know him already?" Saryang says, "Do I need to answer this?" Wushin says, "I think it would be better if you answer. A lady who was supposed to go on a business trip with us suddenly injured her back. Now he is injured and is in the hospital. I am looking for someone to take his place. I think the better you answer the question, the better it will be for you. If you understand the matter, then I will appreciate your cooperation." Saryang wonders if this is some kind of trap. Will I be forced to send if I don't answer correctly? Wushin says, "You are taking a lot of time to answer." Saryang angrily says, "We don't know each other well yet." Then he says that you know that Jang Piljiu has a wife and children too. You are interested in such married men. Then Saryang says angrily, "Excuse me, what do you want to say?" Shin says, "If you give me short answers then I will think for myself, or else I should think even shorter than this." Despite her reluctance, Saryang has to tell him that she knows Piljiu's sister-in-law. Wushin says, "Well, you are talking about Hannah, then you must also know that she is a very skilled hacker." Saryang wonders if Hannah is a hacker. Wushin says that in 2016 the Bangladeshi Central Bank lost 1 billion rupees of its money. That too from a hack attempt. The North Korean government was behind this, and behind all this was a 16-year-old girl, and that girl was Jang Hannah. Tell me, how did you end up meeting such an expectant girl? Saryang says, "I don't need to tell you about my personal life." Wushin says, "This is something that you cannot tell, or have you asked to find out illegal information about someone?" Saryang gets angry again and Shin says, "See, I told you to be cooperate or I will be direct. I am the one who writes the list for those who travel abroad. But trust me, you can avoid it only if you answer my question. Especially if you are a very weak-hearted girl. If you don't want to have a terrible journey here, you'll have to keep me happy." Saryang wonders what he means by that. And secondly, will it be bad for me if I go on a business trip with him? Does he do such things that no weak-hearted person can see? Wushin says, "If you cooperate with me then I will throw you out of list again." Saryang thinks, has he gone mad? That's why I joined the team. I want to do something harmful so that I can get the attention of NIS. Wushin says that Hannah is such a talent that even NIS could not convince her. Then how did you do this? Then Saryang says that I think maybe NIS was not that capable. Wushin says, "Did they steal money from you or something?" Saryang says they has taken more than money from me, and after all not everyone is greedy for money. Wushin says, "What is it? Isn't she helping you find that culprit?" Saryang says, "Why are you asking this? Will you beat them after catching them?" Wushin says, "You are talking about beating them. This means you haven't caught them yet." Saryang says, "It seems you are coming to me less. I won't back down. I am still looking for him. Whether it takes months or years, I will not give up at all. I don't regret this at all. So no one needs to feel bad for me." Wushin says, "If you don't recognize him then you are wasting your time." Saryang says that she messed with the wrong person. No matter what the path, we will definitely meet. Then Wushin says, "By the way, I forgot to introduce myself. Nice to meet you. My name is Lee Wushin. I am the special security team leader." Then let's see, he had even said that there are many protesters outside and it is dangerous to go there. I wait in the car. And while going, Saryang was thinking, what did I do that my name got included in the business trip list? I should have spoken more clearly. Then the man says that you have come here to deliver boxes. Let me take it. Then the man starts to leave and Saryang wonders if Kim Hyun-sent is following her, and the man says, "Why are you following me?" Saryang says, "I was wondering if I could see you guys eating. Don't worry, I won't bother, I'll just wait until you finish your lunch." The man says, "But there's too much noise," and he lunges at Saryang and asks, "Can I have your contact?" Then Saryang realizes what she's doing and says, "Okay, you wait, I'm leaving." And as she leaves, there were tears in her eyes. She was thinking, every time I find out about him I can't control my yearning, my pain and anger increases. I want to kill you, I miss you so much." And then look at him who comes and says, "What was that? Do you know that person?" Saryang says, "You said you were waiting in the car." He says, "I couldn't stop because I was getting too curious." I wondered if you would be able to deliver the lunchbox or not. So I've come to see for myself if there's anyone else here who's feeling a little too hungry. Shut your mouth, Saryang thinks angrily. His gaze is hurting me a lot. Ever since Kim Hyun disappeared, all the stress has been quietly building up inside me. This thought keeps running in my mind as if a storm is going on. Wushin says, are you not going to answer my question? Saryang says, I wanted to know something. That is something I was looking at. I was smelling the same fragrance, so tell me what's the big deal in it. It is such a fragrance that I go crazy after smelling it. Then Wushin says, Saryang, don't say that you do drugs. Saryang says, so what? If you want to put me on the business trip list, then do so. Anyway, I have tried too much. Then suddenly an egg falls on Wushin. There were some protesters there who were saying, have you come from the company? How did you dare? Get out of here without showing your face. Then Saryang tells her, let's go quickly in the car. Wushin says, answer my question. So do you have a drug habit? Saryang says it is not important at all at this time. Shin says, but your eyes look completely red. Saryang says, no, there is nothing like that. Shin says, if it is not so, then what was that smell that made you lose your mind? Saryang says, that was my husband's smell. Tell me, where did you keep the car? If you are not coming, then give it to me. Shin had an egg in his hand which he breaks and tells her that this is not normal at all. Just follow someone like that. There is just a smell coming from him. That's what you're saying, a normal person smelled of it. This means it smells quite cheap. Can we trust such a crazy person in our team? Saryang says, he is not just any man. He is my husband. There may be many men here, but my husband is enough for me. He is not a worthless person, and his fragrance is also not cheap. So you don't need to interfere in this matter. Shin says, you shouldn't have been here. Pack your luggage for a business trip. Then we see Bangkok, Thailand a few days later. Saryang asks a person, what are we doing here? Person says, the bodyguard is a truck dealer. Isn't it? You did not sign the non-disclosure agreement before coming here. I thought you would already know that this is a very dirty job. The client has earned 8 billion by drug trafficking. According to our currency, this total is 10 trillion won, and at present he is also on the biggest wanted list. It is only because of our company that he has been able to avoid getting caught for 10 years. By the way, miss, tell me, do you like money? Saryang says, not much. The person says, then I think you will leave this job when you go back. Most of the time, those who are not very greedy for money get scared of it and run away. There are many people who start crying and begging to be let go, and most of the people, out of fear, just call the police. Then Saryang says, well, I have to clean all this first. The person says, aren't you scared? You said you don't need money. Saryang says, well, I think this place is like a gold mine for me, and as she leaves, and she thinks that NIS will like it very much. I didn't expect this company to be so bad. She was cleaning when he came there and asked if she had signed the non-disclosure agreement. Then you must have also come to know about the details of your work. So what are you still doing here? I don't understand it at all. You must have heard about the disgusting things that go on here. Tell me, how did you get entangled in all this? Saryang says, there is a lot of dirt here. I am just cleaning, and she sees Wushin and thinks, what happened? Weren't you expecting this answer? He says, Saryang, you are here to help in some illegal work. You're cooking for the people who collect guns and do truck trafficking. Do you think he just collects guns? If necessary, they even kill those people. Saryang says, it was your decision to write my name on the mission list. Wushin says, still you want to clean this dustbin. If you liked the video, please give it a like. Comment and tell us which part you found most interesting. And yes, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so quickly. Also press the bell icon so that you don't miss any updates. See you in the next video. Till then, take care and thanks for watching. Wushin says, despite all these dangers, you are cleaning this garbage bin. All of this scared you a little. So, act like you do. Listening to him, Saryang was thinking how annoying he was. Whenever they meet, things are not good, and because of this Saryang's social life is becoming very difficult. But despite all this, Wushin is like a gold mine for NIS. She asks him, tomorrow morning, would you like to have cilantro with noodles? She thinks, I still have no intention of leaving you. Then in the next scene, Saryang was with Hannah and Hannah was drooling over the food. Then Saryang says to Hannah, by the way, I am enjoying the company a lot. There are a lot of annoying people there. But the staff is really nice, but for me the place is very promising. Having a husband who is an NIS agent. It's quite intimidating, isn't it? Then Hannah shouts and says that you are crazy. You look so pretty when you smile, but right now you're scaring me. After all, what was there in your husband that you liked him so much? Saryang says there was nothing in him that I did not like. All the time I spent with him was filled with happiness. Sometimes I feel like he is still my side, my partner. After listening to this you might be thinking that I have gone mad, right? Hannah says from now on you should live your life doubting. If you are feeling attracted or someone calls you pretty, then a girl interrupts and comes to Miss Saryang and says, Miss, you are very pretty. Saryang asks Hannah, what did you tell me to say if someone calls me pretty? Hannah says just say go and have fun. Then Saryang takes a bracelet from the girl. Saryang says that it is very pretty. Then she looks behind Hannah and says she feels something strange. She says to Hannah, Hannah, let's go back. Hannah says what happened suddenly. Saryang says I don't know why but I am feeling bad. Then in the next scene, Hannah was with Wushan and says that all the work has been completed. Then Wushan says, Hannah, I heard that you leaked the information about Saryang's debtor. Hannah says did I do something bad? Wushan says whatever we are doing right now is also bad. They are protecting the gang leader who is involved in illegal drug trafficking. So, tell me, isn't all this bad? Hannah says we always do this. There is nothing new in this. Anyway, you would not have accepted this job without knowing anything. He says but it is quite shocking for a common man. Even if you are not a completely good person, people still stay away from doing an illegal and dangerous job. Wushan thinks but Saryang is doing all this even after knowing. Paul was deliberately sent on a business trip so that he could experience everything on his own. How dangerous is this? I was hoping that after seeing all this she would leave the company on her own. She was very weak during the marriage. So Wushan was thinking that he could control her easily. But Wushan had no idea that she was just weak to Kim Hyun. Then he asks Hannah whether Saryang is addicted to alcohol. Because her mind cannot go bad suddenly. Whatever she is doing right now is not normal at all. Hannah gets worried and thinks, now, did they find out? Did they find out about Saryang's big plan? Wushan says that if she is not crazy then how can she cook food for goons who do terrible things? If this is not the case then perhaps her mind has gone a little crazy that she is not able to differentiate between good and bad. The men who ran away with all her money. That's probably the biggest piece of garbage. Who would have thought that someone could make one so pathetic? Then Hannah says, I will tell you the truth. She fell in love with the worst person in the world. Because of him, my poor Saryang has traveled so much. If I ever meet that person I will throw him in the gutter. Now you must have known everything. So don't ask anything else. Well, now you must know why she has come to the company. There will be different reasons for that. But there are a lot of men here. So, I want her to meet a good guy and start her life afresh. Hearing this, Wushan says, okay, so that's it, the work is done, now you can go. Unwillingly, she thinks that she is feeling very strange. Well, I better go back and make some noodles for Saryang while she checks on Shin who seemed to be in a rather bad mood right now. In the next scene, she has eaten ramen and says that no one can compete with ramen. Saryang says it seems the rest of the team members haven't returned yet. Hannah says yes because they are field agents. By the way, Saryang, did something happen between you and the team leader? Well, forget it, I was just asking, and she thinks that Saryang and he both do not know each other well, so what could have happened? She tells Saryang that I will wash the dishes. You go upstairs. Saryang was going up. Then she starts smelling something. She wonders if it is the smell of some kind of perfume. This is very strong. Then she is shocked to see in front of her there was a man lying dead, drenched in blood. The door of one room was open. When she goes there, another person was lying dead there. Saryang wonders what is going on here. Looking at it, it seems that these people did not even get a chance to escape. The vital points of these people have been directly targeted. But who can do this at midnight? And then she remembers Hannah, who was on the floor below. She starts running away. Then she steps on the same body and falls down. Then she sees an earphone in the ear of that body and she takes it out and puts it on. She says nervously that all the people here are dead. On the other side of this, Wushan was listening. He says, "What?" This is Saryang's voice. Saryang says there are no signs of struggle, these people are just dead and there is a very strong perfume smell here. Wushan says, "Saryang, be calm and explain properly." Saryang says, "Maybe that person is still here, I have to check on Hannah." Wushan says, "If that is the case then Hannah must have already died. Saryang, you are a witness, so you will be the next target. Do you think anyone can escape from that assassin who did not leave even a trace? So listen to me carefully. All the people there will have guns. If you want to survive, take the gun from that body." Saryang takes the gun and Wushan says to just leave Hannah there. Get out of there with the gun. This is the only way you will be able to survive. There is no need to hesitate. I am in charge of the security team. That's why you have to follow my orders. Saryang thinks, if I follow the orders then who is responsible for all this? Wushan says, I am telling you for the last time, leave Hannah behind and get out of there. Then Saryang sees Hyun in front of her and she angrily says, don't ask me to run away. I will not do this. One day I wanted to tell my husband that I will not leave anyone behind. I am like this. This is my choice. I will not abandon anyone. That's why I'm not letting you go away either. She thinking of not to give up, and that if Kim Hyun's reason was big then someone tell me how can this be fair. Wushan starts getting angry and says that you can't make decisions based on your emotions. At this time no one would be thinking that everyone would be dead. Saryang says, then I will be the first. I will be the one who survives. She takes the gun and goes to the kitchen and then she sees blood there. She looks behind the counter where Hannah was, she was bleeding profusely but was still alive. She comes to Hannah. Hannah was telling her, please run away from here. Saryang says, no, I will not leave you. She tells Wushan that Hannah's condition is very bad. It seems she has been stabbed in the neck and is bleeding. Wushan says, are you in the kitchen right now? Hold on to her injury. Do not let her blood flow under any circumstances. Otherwise, she will definitely die. It seems that their target is her as she is North Korean asset. She will be very important. The moment she left the country, they started following her. The trained assassin would have finished her off in one go. This means everything is not over yet. Saryang says, what do you mean by that? Wushan says they doesn't want to kill her. They want to extract information from her by torturing her. There is no time left at all. The assassin will be coming soon. Saryang takes Hannah to the room inside the kitchen. Wushan says, keep the gun loaded. If you are aiming for the first time, you might miss. But if the target is very close then you might be able to hit them. Saryang says, seriously, what are you saying? No point at all. Wushan says, I am coming soon. But remember one thing, if you are going to die then you must hit the target at least once. Because of this I will be able to identify that target easily. Saryang thinks, how will I do this with one hand? And looking at Hannah she thinks, no, I will do it this time. I will help you. She starts loading the gun with the help of her teeth. Someone stood outside the door and Saryang was ready with her gun. The door opens, there was a woman there. Saryang wonders if this is a lady assassin. Then Wushan says, Saryang, if you don't want to die then fire the gun. Then the girl hits Saryang's hand and makes her drop the gun. His voice stops and he shouts, Saryang, are you okay? Earbud had fallen down from Saryang's ears. The girl had stabbed Saryang's hand with her knife. Saryang thinks that if I remove my hand, Hannah will die and she starts thinking that all the staff is dead. They didn't even struggle a bit. The girls on the street I went to with Hannah were wearing this and the same perfume smelled. After living in the fog for so many years, my instincts are screaming at me and they tell that woman, you witch, you are not a woman. She makes a creepy face and was going to attack Saryang. Then Saryang hits her with her gun at a place where she cannot get up again. Because of which the assassin dies and Saryang thinks that this was really madness. Then in the next scene everyone else and Wushan had come there. The man says, really both of them fainted like this. Then Wushan sees that Saryang still hadn't removed his hand from Hannah's neck. The second person says, "Boss, this woman lying there is actually a man." It seems that Saryang had come to know about this, so she attacked at a place where his death was certain. Wushin looks at Saryang and thinks this is no longer the innocent Saryang I knew. Neither Wushin nor Kim Hyun, no one knows this side of her. This is a complete stranger. See the next scene. She was in the hospital and Wushin says you finally came to your senses. Saryang wakes up and sees that her hand was hurt. Wushin says it seems you are in a lot of pain. You must have learned your lesson. That's why I was sitting here for so long and just wanted to see this look on your face. I was curious to see that look when you feel like you're about to die. Saryang says how can you say that? Wushin says your hand was just about to stop working. But are you still alive? I should give you a round of applause. Well, let it go, you must have a lot of questions, so what do you want to hear? Saryang starts thinking about Hannah. He says that Hannah is currently in the ICU. Saryang says, is she alive? Wushin says, yes, she barely survived but is still unconscious. She lost a lot of blood and her heart almost stopped once. And yes, you are also going to stay in the hospital for a week. The way your hand is injured, daily life is going to be a bit of a struggle. By the way, why don't you ask your husband to take care of you? He is not even in the family records. You don't even have his contact. His wife was unconscious for a week and did not even show his face. This is what I'm thinking about. Is he even worthy of being your husband? And after listening to Wushin, Saryang says if you came here to waste my time then congratulations you succeeded. Then he asks Saryang, tell me why is your mouth is injured? She says that both my hands were not free so I pressed the trigger with my mouth. That situation was quite urgent so I thought this was right. Then Wushin gets very angry and says that you have never fired a gun. You have no idea what would have happened if something went wrong with the loading and you got hit. Your whole face could be blown off. Saryang says but that doesn't happen then what is the problem? Wushin asks Saryang, did your husband know what kind of person you are? Did he know how stubborn you are and how you don't listen to anyone? Saryang says, of course he did not know but my husband did not need to know this. Just looking at me was enough for him. He didn't need to know every little thing. Therefore, there is nothing wrong in this and do not misunderstand it. I didn't save Hannah because of justice. I felt bad for her. But above all, I wanted to prove my husband wrong. I wanted to show him that no matter what the reason, you cannot abandon anyone. I took this decision after careful consideration. I didn't do it just like that. After listening to this, Wushin wonders if this is really the Saryang he once knew. Saryang says thank you, if it weren't for you I would have probably died. I listened to you so I was able to handle everything. Then he says no, I should thank you. Thank you for ignoring my orders and trying to do everything yourself. Now I am finally going to get rid of the person who has been troubling me for so long. Saryang angrily asks what do you mean? Then Wushin says, do you remember that moment when you put your life in danger? You shot a civilian and you killed someone. Even if the company hides this fact, you will never be able to forget it. Maybe now you understand that your nightmare has begun. Even though things have gone too far, it is not too late to get back to your normal life. I am explaining this to you for the last time. Otherwise, people like you don't matter to me. I want someone who can walk away from me without hesitation. If you understand what I am trying to say then we will never see each other's faces again. In the next scene after a few days. The news was on TV and we see Saryang who was with Hannah and tells her, I have been fired. Now tell me what should I do next? After all, how will I catch Hyun now? Then someone comes there and says that even after all this, your eyes are very sharp. Saryang asks who are you? That person says I wanted to make a deal with you. First let me introduce myself. My name is Kang Taegon. I am the CEO of Blast Corporation. Then he sits and says that I was thinking of meeting you both in the hospital. Well, both of you are in the same room. I won't have much trouble talking. Saryang thinks what? Why has the CEO come to meet me here in the hospital? The CEO says I just wanted to thank you for saving Hannah. Hannah is a great talent to have come to my company. Just to think that someone had come to kill a talented person like this. If Hannah had died, our company would have had to travel a lot and we would have suffered huge losses. There are many contracts that simply cannot be done without her. Sariang thinks so. Wushan was telling me to stay away from saving her. The CEO said that I am not good enough to get to know someone like him. So why is he talking to me instead of Hannah at this very moment? The CEO says I wanted to meet you personally. Even though the company has given compensation, I wanted to thank you. Apart from this, if you need anything else, you can tell me. Then after a week we see a police training camp in Nigeria, Africa. Wushan was lying comfortably and thinking how clear the sky looked. Looking at the clouds, it seems like a big owl with big eyes. Then someone comes there shouting and says, "Team leader, did you see this notice?" He says, "No, I am not interested in this." The boy whose name is Jinho says that I knew that you would say this, that is why I got it printed and brought it. There is no point in lying down now. Wushan completely ignores and says go and bring water for me. Jinho gets very angry. Wushan says, "Jinho, members should not act like this or else I should think that you are asking for a favor from me." Jinho says, "How can you call this a favor? This is our team's issue." Then another boy comes there whose name is Taemin. He takes the slip from him. Jinho says, "Hey, quickly return this slip to me." Taemin says that this is the training program of Blast True. He wants us to join him immediately after leaving Afrobaka. Those who say this should know how capable we are. How can he give us such a useless thing? They already did more than enough by sending us to foreign training camps, and now Wushan says this is because of Hannah's death. Due to which our 6-month schedule has become like this. Jinho is surprised and says, "What, is she dead?" Then Taemin says no, she is still alive. Team leader Wushan says yes, I guess she is still alive, she should just regain consciousness soon so that our team can start working properly. Jinho says, "Team leader, aren't you being too hard-hearted?" Taemin says it seems that he wants to keep us as a replacement. Jinho says that it looks like new recruits are about to join the team. Taemin says, "What's the big deal in this, they always comes." Jinho angrily says to team leader, "All this is happening because of Taemin, he always acts like an agent. He is a big cleanliness bug. It's no surprise that he won't adjust at all." Taemin says, "Oi, you are crazy. You got him so drunk on his first day that he passed out at your door." Both of them start arguing like this and Shin was watching them. While leaving he says, "Send the trainees back and you all also get out of here." That's when they asks Wushan, "What kind of recruit would you prefer?" Wushan says that, it is enough so that they